Welcome to another milepost of the V. Welcome to another milepost of the Vtwin Life. We talk motorcycles powered by those V-twins, why we enjoy it, what they mean to us, and just why we enjoy the open road. Vtwin Life is brought to you by CrashIncClothing.com, also known as Crash Inc. on the World Wide Web. Man, Brad has sold a lot of stuff. You want to get some merchandise, you want to get parts, you want to upgrade stuff on your bike. He is a dealer for a lot of great companies, so check out CrashIncClothing.com and see what they got for you. Now, we got Wild Ass. You want to add some comfort to your ass? Man, Wild Ass has got you covered. They've got something you like. Use that promo code DWoods. Get yourself free shipping and put that ass in comfort. Can't forget Custom Dynamics, leading the world in LED lighting and LED technology. Man, these got some great stuff. You want to light up your life at nighttime? You want to be seen during the day? Hey, check out Custom Dynamics. Can't forget Lexan. These guys got some great comm units. I just got the new G16s. Man, you want to talk quality? These things are awesome. Loudspeakers, plus they got some air pumps, small ones you keep in your bike. They're ready to go. So check out Lexan. So now, let's get to another milepost of the Vtwin Life. Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Vtwin Life. I've been on hiatus, been gone for a little while, a bunch of stuff going on in the world and in my life. So now we're back, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Got Milepost 138 tonight with Terri Collier, also known as Where We Ride and Tea. So thanks for coming on and joining.
I'm glad you're having me here.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. We had a great conversation the other night on the phone, and it's always nice. I prefer to, at least chit chat once or twice beforehand, not going in blind, so to speak, and whatnot. So it was good.
It would be surprising what comes ahead of you.
Yeah, got Tracy in.
Hey, whole conversation. You might be ready. Get ready.
Yeah, there we go. So we got Tracy Clutch in here. We got Iowa Hog Rider Brad. Hope you're healing up from your accident. So thanks for tuning in, guys. So let's dive into this. So where'd you get into motorcycles? How did it come about in life for you?
Well, my dad stuck me in front of him at 2 years old. And so I was sitting in front of him for a couple of years. And then the first time that I had my own motorcycle, I was 5. He bought me a little Montgomery Ward mini bike. Had to stand on I don't know, I had a couple of blocks I had to stand on to pull start it and take off. And I just burned up a whole lot of gas and tires in Missouri Hills.
Fun. So you stuck to the dirt bikes for quite a while?
Yeah, for a long time. Probably, well, I did ride his. It's kind of a funny story. I was about 12 and I jumped on his 400 Honda, which, back in, I don't know, what would that have been? 76, 77. I was a pound and a half and 2 foot tall and jumped on his 400 and off I went onto the highway. And he's like, okay, we're going to do this. And took a little turnabout in the highway. And so then I liked highway and dirt, but I preferred dirt, all through like junior high school. And probably, I don't know, I was probably about 28 when I got my first street bike of my own. I rode some of Dad's stuff for a long time. Why not? He had it there for me to ride. But and rode my boyfriend's bike, and I just rode anything anybody had put in front of me, and the key was in it. So I like to ride. But I got my first bike, and the first street bike I had was gosh, I think I had a little 250 dirt bike that had lights on it, but then I got a 550 Suzuki. 82, I think, was the year I got it, something like that. So I've been riding a little while.
A little while. Wow. See, 82, would that be probably a GS 550?
Yeah. Yep. It's a pretty cool little bike, shaft drive, and it works.
I had an 83 GS 750 ES. It was a fun bike.
Yeah, we also had at that time, we had a 750 Maxim Yamaha, and it was before the KZ 1000 was made. And it was the fastest bike. It was supposed to be the fastest bike on the street back then. And it was a lot of fun. It was a fast bike, but then the KZ 1000 came along like, I don't know, a couple of years later, it seemed like. And anyway, that's when one of them got to my town. We found out about them and got whipped, darn it. But it was fun up until that point, but it was still fun.
Yeah, then after that, then what was it? It was Yamaha had the VMAX. I
Yeah.
think that came out in the late '80s, and that was a
Mhm.
speedster.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun. But, you know, you're just dumb enough to do all that stuff when you're a kid, and then you grow up and, well, look at me in the Hoka Hay doing more dumb stuff.
It's an adventure, a
It was
lifestyle.
an adventure. It's not dumb, it's a total adventure.
Oh, I can imagine. So how'd you get into traveling and whatnot? How did that all come about, wanting to really get on the bike and explore?
Um, Gosh, it's kinda hard to remember, you know, it was cheap. It was a cheap way to travel. You know, that's the way I remember is one thing that happened to me, my parents moved from Missouri to Oklahoma, and so I had to travel back and forth to see him, and, um, then they moved back to Missouri, and I stayed in Oklahoma, and so I would ride back quite often, and it was just cheaper. I could afford to ride back and forth back then, and so that's how I started, and then we're from the Missouri-Arkansas line, so, you know, you can't go to Missouri without taking a spin through the fun Arkansas hills and corners and dragging some metal, but it was, probably that's what started, and then it was probably actually, it was, later before I really started to go long distances to go, "I wanna go see what's out here and what's over here and over there," so I'd say, oh, I don't know, probably 25 years that I've been traveling further, you know, than just back and forth to Missouri or Arkansas.
I've seen a lot of great videos and pictures and whatnot riding through Arkansas. It definitely looks like an amazing, beautiful place to ride.
It's absolutely gorgeous, and um, they call it the Pig Trail. It's just one of many roads. It's really funny. A lot of people don't even realize how many roads are in Arkansas to ride, and just all of Arkansas except for I-40 is curved. I mean, every bit of it's curvy roads, and a lot of sharp turns. You know, not just big open wide turns. Even though there are some roads that have a lot of that, there's a lot of areas that you can actually get into some hairpin turns. You know, and um, believe it or not, there's a lot of hills there. Um, Not really mountains. We call them mountains because they rise up to, like, 2,600 feet. but, but they're pretty sharp up and downs, you know? And so you can get some pretty quick up and downs in Arkansas. So yeah, I could talk about Arkansas roads all day because it's beautiful, and there's a lot of ride season over there as well. And then a lot of people don't know about Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue, and it's one of the largest rallies in the United States. And it happens either September or October, depends on how the Fayetteville, Arkansas football team schedule goes.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's big. It used to be really large, and then when COVID came along, it changed the dynamics of it. And I didn't get to go this year, but I understand that it's back up to size again. It's
Now, what
gotten
was that one
pretty
called again? I
substantial
gotta
again.
write that down.
Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue.
Bikes, blues, and barbecue.
Yeah,
Sounds fun.
it is. It is fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's a it's a cool rally. It's kind of like Sturgis, where you can go and hang out in one area and party, or you can just ride. And there is miles and miles and miles of riding in Arkansas, and even southern Missouri, a little bit of southeast Oklahoma, and yeah, it's just a great time. It's a good time.
Sounds like it. So when you got into traveling, how'd you decide you wanted to try the endurance stuff and then just starting to push your distance farther and
Um, well, you're gonna think it's funny, but um, I actually bought a 2007 Big Dog Chopper, and um, it has a 117 SNS on it, and it's 8.5 foot long, and it was probably the smoothest riding what I call cruiser that I'd ever owned. And
Wow.
I started riding it. And the first weekend I bought it, a lot of people just looked at me like I was absolutely crazy, because I think right before that I'd had a lot of life changes and didn't have a lot of money, so I was riding like a 650 Yamaha V-Star. So it was a little bike, and I jumped from it to this giant big dog chopper. And so the first weekend I was like, I want to take this thing out and ride it. I want to go places. And so I I sometimes I'll flip a coin and decide which direction I want to go, or I'll just say I'm going to go on this time period and I'll go the opposite direction of the rain. And so that weekend, the opposite direction of the rain happened to be Memphis, Tennessee. And so I rode down. There's a really cool ride called the Talamina uh, Scenic Byway, and it's in the southeast part of Oklahoma. And I wanted to try this big ass chopper out on some good turns. So I knew that would be someplace that I could find some, and then I could hop on I-40 and get over to Memphis. And so I jetted down to Tallahena, and it did great on the turns. I mean, it's different. It's not like pulling your cruiser through turns, but it still does pretty good. And um, learned the limits on it pretty quick. And then on the terms, but I did fine. And then I just ended up in Memphis, and then I wasn't done with the weekend, and I had a couple of friends with me, and I said, "Hey, you want to run up to Missouri and see my folks?" And so we ran up to Missouri and saw my folks, and then back home to Oklahoma. And I don't know, I think the first weekend on it, I put a couple thousand miles on it the first weekend I had it, and it's crazy because like 2 days later I saw two different people. I see these two different people, and I said, "Hey, did you see I bought a new bike?" And they're like, "Yeah, we saw that. I don't know why you bought it. It's a waste of your time. Where are you going to ride?" And I said, "Well, I went to Memphis last weekend." I was like, "I don't know. I'll ride anywhere I want." So, but so I started riding on it, and I mean, I've ridden it to Sturgis. That's like 870 miles from here in one day. And I ride into Texas. I went to the Rock Rally a couple times on it, and just put a backpack on and go. Just ride the bike.
That's freaking cool. I mean, because it's not, you know, you look at most people that buy, and get into the chopper scene. It's just, a little day cruiser here and there, and then you get yourself that's just going to get out, stretch your legs, and just going to go.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and then there's a lot of times I recognize, and especially the older I get, there's a lot of limitations that people will put on themselves that you just don't really need to. And I just try not to limit myself, try to stretch my legs and I guess stretch my bike. But I will have to say that that chopper, right now I have it up at Big Dog, and it's getting a lot of repairs. I wore all the seals out on it and everything else. And funny story, the guy that's got it up there, he's a new mechanic there, and all the rest of the guys that have worked on it up there know me, and the owner knows me. And um, Lola is the name of the chopper because she's a showgirl. But she, so she's up there at the shop, and I've had like four different odometers on it, and they're never set right. They're like never set to the right mileage, but I kind of keep it up in my head what I know the mileage is on it. And so it's on its fourth odometer. And right now, I think it shows something like 2,700 miles or 2,500 miles or something like that. And the guy goes, "Well," he goes, "this bike really, these seals are worn out and the sprocket's worn out." And he goes, "For a bike with this little of miles," he goes, I really said, "this bike sitting around's been hard on it." I thought, well, that bike has about probably 60,000 miles on it. And I just haven't ridden it in a year because it had a problem with it. And I said, "I've had my cruiser and I'm practicing for a big ride I was doing. And I just haven't been riding." And he goes, "You have how many on that bike?" He goes, "These bikes are just, they sitting around in a garage. They're like collector's items." And I'm like, "Not this one. This one likes to collect miles." But yeah, so she'll be all resealed and ready to go again soon.
That's cool. I've always been a fan. I mean, they were one of the first big companies. They made some impressive bikes. I
They
mean,
did,
of
yeah,
course, you can get
yeah,
your big, I don't know what I call gaudy ones, but dude, they made some great looking bikes that weren't too, too raked out, whatnot, but they're beautiful bikes.
yeah, they really were, and, Sheldon Coleman is the one that started Big Dog, in Wichita, Kansas, and it was funny because about, I don't know, 3 years probably before they started mass production, I, was sitting up there at a bar, and here come these bikes rolling in and backed in, and I'm looking at them. I'm like, "Those are cool," and I jump over the rail, and I go and ask 1,000 questions because I always wanna know about bikes, and so I was asking all these questions. He goes, "Well, what do you think of this?" He goes, I'm gonna mass produce these," and I don't know him from Adam. And I said, "Well, they're pretty cool. I like what you've done with them, and I like your big fat tank." And it was a Mastiff that I was looking at, one of his first ones that he built, and it was his personal one. And I said, "I love this bike. I think it's great." And he's like, "Do you want to ride it?" And I was like, "Sure." So I kind of took it a spin around the block and came back, and I just kept following him, and I just followed him and until I bought my own chopper.
Which one did you buy?
What? When?
No, which model?
The chopper. So there's a chopper and a canine, and the canine is rigid and it's 9 foot long, and the chopper is 8.5 foot long, and it's a softail. It's got a hidden softail mono in the. It's got a swing. So
Yeah, little suspension is nice.
yes, it is. I decided to choose that over the rigid, and then um, it was shorter. When I first got on the canine, I went down to buy a Mastiff because I love the Mastiff. It's lower and fatter and big, and had the I think at the time it had the 300 rear tire on it, and the chopper had the 240 on it. And I went down and rode the Mastiff at the dealership, and the guy goes, "I'd really like to see you on a chopper." And I was like, "Oh, I've ridden choppers. They're cut up, they're not fun to handle." And he goes, "You've never ridden a big dog chopper. Get on it." So I jumped on it and took off. And my smile, I didn't do a very good job of getting a great deal on that from that salesman because my smile told him she's buying the bike. She's going home with this bike.
Miles of smiles.
Miles a Smile, yeah, that's the new one, and it probably should have been Lola's name, but yeah, I bought it, and they did give me a good deal because they at that time, they had not had a woman purchase a big dog chopper. So,
Yeah, that's cool.
I used my woman hear me roar, got a good deal.
Well, and you've definitely put some miles on, and probably more than a lot of people do that buying, like I said, so many people, it's just a little day hop here and there, and you're out just going for it.
Yeah, yeah, it's not as uncomfortable. I mean, it is not riding on a street glide. But I tell a lot of people, it's not for everyone, but it's the ride I like. So I just go for it.
Well, that's all about it. You like it, it's comfortable, it fits, and go with it. That's a great thing about, I like to look at people when they get a motorcycle, make it fit you, make it your personality, and just enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many options now, you know. Just I was at the Valkyrie Motor Rally a couple weeks ago, and all the women, it's an all women motorcycle challenge, one of the points, scavenger hunt
Mhm.
type. And it was created in 23 as an all woman challenge to try to get more women involved in these moto rallies. And I took the bait and went, and it was a lot of fun. They're hard, but uh, it was really nice to just see all the women on all the different bikes, and the adventure bikes. There was a lot on adventure bikes because, I mean, some of these people are just laying down huge miles on the adventure bikes. And I have to work. I have a job, and so I do more job than I do riding these days. But I'll retire
Understand
someday.
that. Yeah, me too.
Dang it.
Someday.
I keep playing the lottery though. By gosh,
Yeah, I do maybe twice a year. I'd like to win
you're
it, but I
not going to
probably
win
should
that
have got
way.
a. I know. That's the other problem. Don't ever win, but then I don't play it enough to really have a good chance at it.
Well, it's all right. It's probably wise.
It is.
Probably wiser than me, Denver.
Well, if you take five, I don't know, $5 a week, and it's not too bad if you can get a couple dollars here and there at least. I have better luck on scratch tickets every now and
Okay. Well, play that lottery.
then. Exactly. So where are we riding to? How'd that come into the game for you?
Yeah, so that phrase actually came a little bit of a long story, but I was actually in banking for 25 years. And all of a sudden 2008 came, I was a mortgage lender. Mortgage loans were going bust and I was pretty sick of it. And I didn't like some of the open regulations. They had let people get loans, and the reason they were going bust is because of the open regulations. But I decided one day I didn't want to do it, and just happened to be I was writing some stories for a motorcycle magazine here in Oklahoma, and the lady that owned it needed to sell it. And she came to me and asked if I wanted to buy it. And next thing I know, I'm a magazine editor and publisher. And um, so with that, I was riding everywhere. And it was a distributorship of a larger nationwide magazine. And so I owned Oklahoma and Arkansas. So I'm traveling all over Oklahoma and Arkansas covering riders and bikes and everything else. And then the national said, let's go national. And so I started covering a lot of the different rallies. Well, it was funny because, I started my Facebook page long ago when everybody didn't know what Facebook was. And I started my page just as Thunder Roads magazine. And all of a sudden, every show I went to or when I had a booth up, everybody started watching that I was always somewhere else on my motorcycle. And they're like, where are we going to go? Where are we riding now, T? Where are you going to ride to, T? Where are you going now? And so it just got to where that was the thing everyone was asking me, where are you riding, T? And so I ended up putting that down, and I don't know, I had a little talk show on a local channel, radio channel, and had some different things that I was doing with that Where We Ride in Tea. And so finally, when I was done with the magazine, I needed a page. So that was my page. And so
Well, that's
here I
cool.
am, Where We Ride in Tea.
Yeah, I was always curious how, people get their, they'll start a little page, and it's fun to kind of hear the backstory, okay, well, how'd this come about? What's the story to it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it came about, and it's been a good tagline. I mean, it's worked well, and the Facebook page is growing. If some of my fans are on here tonight, I want you to like the Vtwin Life page and follow, and do the same on
Well,
mine
thank
from
you.
the Vtwin Life crowd.
Yeah.
Let's
It's
share.
fun. It is. It's all, we all enjoy the community. We all enjoy motorcycles, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, look at that honors on here. Hi, honor.
Yeah. So when you did the Valkyrie rally last year, was that your first rally you've done?
Yeah, that was the first of any sort of points and calculating a route. And what it was a 30-hour rally, and so that was the first one I had done. And it's kind of weird for me because I don't really like to map where I'm going. I like to just go and maybe kind of know a general direction. And so this is a whole new ball game. And then to have to take these big Excel spreadsheets and dive them into a GPX file, into maps, Google Maps, and then you're reading your Google Maps. It's just like it's a whole new world. But that was the first one I'd done, and I did pretty good. I mean, I finished and um, didn't get disqualified. I don't even remember what place. I didn't like break any world sound records, but I did pretty good for my first year. So it was a lot of fun. And I went from there. I rode Hops Rally, and then I rode Heart of Texas, Paul Tong's rally. and
I
then
would like to do
think
one
about what
sometime. It sounds a
you
lot of
should.
fun, and haven't done one yet, but it's on the list. Something I think would be a lot of fun. Just the whole, the scavenger hunt idea. Plan a route, find your things, and figure out where you want to go and see if
Yeah.
you can do it.
Yeah, and a lot of people are just think you would just find a route and here I just go on this route, but you have like 120 points and then you got 120 places to go to choose from. And you have to choose like 4 that need to be grouped together to get extra points. So, and they don't put those 4 all side by side. Of course not. They put them clear, off
Right.
the ends of your map. So you want to try to figure out what you can group together and get bonuses and get combos. And it kind of is nerve wracking, but it's a lot of fun. And what I love about it most is the community of riders in the long distance rider group. There are some really skilled riders and some really, really great people in the long distance ride group.
And I haven't found one. I mean, there's and I are you talking about Gunnar Johnson's group,
That's
long distance
all,
riders?
yeah, all long distance riders in general. Yeah, like
And the
these
thing
ones
I
that
like
ride the
is
rallies. And
when you got a question, it's like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this, and with there's so many groups you get. There's always a bad apple or somebody got to make snide comments or something, but like I can say with Gunner's group, you post up a question, because hey, I'm thinking of doing this. You explain what you got going on, and you get opinions, and people are, there's no short answer. People that are just going to be rude or come off like a dick, and
well, we hope not.
yeah,
They're out there. Sometimes they just get
oh,
their
there always
comments
is,
removed. But yeah,
yeah.
for the most part, this group's really um, like the heart of Texas. And well, all 3 of these rallies I've ridden, everybody was really, really kind. And what I liked is they recognized that I was new, so they were very helpful when I had questions about putting the maps together. And they do videos and share their secrets as to what you need to do because they just want everybody to be successful and have a great time.
And it's like you said, I follow some of the groups. People, get their points and put in a GPX file, upload it there. It's like, cool, I'm already lost.
I know, right? What's
Donors,
GPGPX?
oh, I'm using Basecamp and I'm uploading this file. I'm like, yep, gone. Sorry, I'm already out. Not
Don't
that tech
worry.
savvy.
Yeah, don't worry. I was there and I'm still there sometimes, but it's really not as hard as it sounds. It's kind of like you giving me the link. It's kind of the same thing. You put a link into the Google map and that's what it is.
Yeah, I'll drop a pin in
That
Google
easy.
Maps and I know how I can find it, or I'll use it. Actually, I mean, granted, I have an iPhone, but I use Google Maps more than I use Apple Maps. I'm just more familiar with it and gotten pretty confident with it. It's like it just works for me. It's just what I use.
Yeah. You can see you're ready. You can do it.
Yeah, I'm ready. I would. It would be fun to go do Hops Rally. That would be really cool.
Well, that's in next month.
Yeah, but not this year.
Yeah.
Not in the cards.
Can't ship your bike now to get it through
Yeah.
the ice and snow to get to Texas to run the
Yeah,
rally.
no kidding.
And
Yeah,
then
the
you just leave
Siskiyous
it.
in Oregon could cause a problem going south of that time of the year.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple people I know that have ridden the Texas rallies and then flew back home and left their bike in a storage unit. And so that because they can't ride at home anyway, and then they'll fly back down to do another rally, fly back down to go ride. So it happens.
Yeah, there is that option too. This is true.
Win the lottery and you have a second bike in Texas, or you keep it in my house,
I would
whatever.
have a
I'll keep it
few. I'd
hidden
have
for you.
one on the east. I'd have one on the East Coast, one down in the South somewhere, one in Texas. Oh, I could
Big
have all kinds of
Benton,
fun.
man.
Yeah. So what made you want to dive into doing the Hoka Hey motorcycle challenge?
Um, yeah, insanity. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair.
I actually had been following them since 2009. Um, they had a booth set up in Sturgis or Rapid City, and I was up there covering a story, and I jumped off my chopper. Actually, I was up there on my chopper and grabbed my camera bag and ran by their booth and I was like, what is this? And it said 10,000-mile motorcycle challenge. And at that time, they were giving away money, big money to win. And I'm like, I'll be back. I got to find out about this. And I never made it back that year to do a story on it because I want to do a story on them. And then, time just gets by. Well, I'm watching it every year, and watching this ride. And then they add the option of watching the ride with a tracker. And that I don't remember what year it was. They did that maybe 3 rides ago. And because I know it was there in 2018 that I started following the tracker because some of my friends were riding it. And so I started following the tracker and seeing what they do and seeing the places they go. And I knew enough about the Hoka, just their philosophy and what that ride is really all about. It's more than just riding a ride and not knowing where you're going until you're there, but it's, about enrichment of your life and integrity and compassion and the charity and all that. Um, and once I saw that and saw the people riding it, I thought, I need to do this someday. And my life just came together where it was possible to do it finally. So this was the year.
That's cool. I know. I started following, heard of it, and it was probably after the 18 run, and then in 2020, it's kind of when I started my podcast. And by the beginning of, I don't know, it was early 21. I had the Asphalt 5 on, and I think all but one of the top 10 finishers. And it was 22. Craig Johnson's, hey, you ought to come over and for the Hoka send off with everybody. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, you pretty much know half the people. And, he's selling me on things. I'm like, well, that's also my wedding anniversary. It's like, I don't know. And
Oh,
he's like, oh, it'd be fun. So I got a point. So I went to my wife, hey, honey, want to go on a trip for anniversary? Let's go Sturgis.
oh, you're rotten. How'd that go
No,
over?
we had a lot of fun though. And the
Okay,
cool
good.
thing is that was my son. He had just started riding on the road. I mean, he grew up riding dirt bikes. I think he'd been on the road for 6 weeks, and he rode with me, and my wife took one of her girlfriends. They drove the car. And, that's when I finally got to meet Jason Setzer in person. We had been Facebook friends
Mhm.
for quite some
Nice
time. And
man.
we met up with him in Missoula, and or I think it was Bill Bozeman. Might have been Bozeman. No, we did meet in Missoula because he was getting work done on his bike at Grizzly Harley-Davidson. Then we all got a hotel together in Bozeman. Then he ended up camping with us in Rapid City at the No Name City RV campground, which that place is awesome.
Yeah.
And no, it was cool. Got to go meet everybody and ended up spending all day at the dealership because my bike broke when I got to the dealership. So that was really cool. But it's just all part
Yeah.
of the fun.
But you get to meet a lot of people when you hang out at that dealership. I know that. I've
I
experienced
was
that.
there though from like 8 o'clock until 6 o'clock that day. We wanted to do some riding. Well, that didn't happen, but no, I did get to meet a lot of cool people, and it was a lot of fun. It was an amazing trip.
Yeah. Yeah. 8 to 6 at Rapid City during Sturgis is not that long. It's just walking booth to booth, talking to your friends. Like that's that's
Unless
annoying.
you're working the wild ass booth and you're there from 8 to 6, it's a day,
Yeah,
but
you
it
did
does go
definitely
by
get to
quick,
meet
and it
them.
is a lot of fun though. Yeah, Amy
Yeah,
and I worked for
good.
Craig last year at Sturgis and doing the
Yeah,
wild ass. It was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed it.
good, good. Yeah, he's good people.
Him and Renee and Callie and even his dad. His dad is a kick in the pants. We enjoyed good company with him because we stayed with them during the rally, and man, it was so much fun. And they are just amazing people.
Nice, good. Yeah, they're good people, and I'm telling you that wild ass saves your butt.
Oh, you're not kidding. I sit on one of my cement mixer I drive cement mixer during the week, and
Oh yeah,
I have one in there because those things do not ride pleasantly at all, but
no,
it does make a huge difference.
nice. Yeah, I'd never ridden with anything on my seat until this Hoka, and I just knew that long in that seat under all the weather conditions, and mainly I was most worried about being hot because in Oklahoma we have 100 degree. We had 100 degrees last week, and it was 90 today. And so that pod will actually give you hot spots when you're riding long distance. And so I was more worried about that. And so I went ahead and got that Wild Ass. And that's the first time I've ever used anything except just regular seat. But I was glad I had it. I think the main reason I was glad I had it was not only the comfort, but just we were in so much water. We were in water every day. And it helped.
Yeah, you guys following it this year had, like dang near seen rain every single day. Of course, well, I mean, starting off in a hurricane, holy cow.
Yeah, there was decisions made. We made it through it.
Definitely adds to the
Jill and I were
adventure.
just
That is
talking.
100% sure.
Yeah, it was. That rain. We just had so much water, and that first 2 days was everything just stayed soaked. And it wasn't too bad. My climb gear held up pretty good. It was more like you get it up your arms because I didn't have my gauntlets on when I started, so then I had it up my arms, and then my pant leg blew up on one side because the wind was blowing from that side, and then it's all the weird things that happen down your neck because you can't keep the stupid water dripping down your helmet and down your neck, and so there was some water, but there was people pouring water out of their boots, and I didn't have that. I don't know. The water didn't get on my person as much and irritate me. I didn't notice that if it did, but it was more just the constant water in front of you on your visor.
I had it like when we did Monsters Over Mountains this year. It rained so hard, I had it coming down the inside of my visor into my helmet. It was
Mhm.
coming through. I had to shut my helmet vents, and it's like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. That's called painter's tape.
Yeah.
Painter's tape saves the day. Scotch should be paying all of us for our Scotch tape.
Hey, you find new uses for it and make things
Yeah.
work. And it's like, hey, here's another option.
Yeah. 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 All the uses, all of them. Yeah.
So, what was one of your favorite memories from the Hokahay?
Oh man, showers, the finish line. The finish, probably the finish line. You know,
Yeah.
just um, it's so long, and especially this year. Of course, I've never ridden. This is my first year to ride it, and going through Canada and especially Yukon and the eastern part of Alaska was it was long. It's really, really vast. And it rained and rained and it kept getting colder and colder. It was really cold. And it the road is too bad to even explain how bad the road is. It's potholes and then like the road breaks. And so the road will just stick up in one part and down in the other. And so you're trying to ride over that and through that. And it's difficult. It slows you down and beats your bike and your body to death. Um, and so coming in, I wanted to finish the 12th day, and I didn't make the 12th day. So on the 12th day, I woke up in Destruction Bay like at 4 in the morning and took off with hopes. At that time, I had had 3 guys that I'd got in and rode with through the northern Canada through where we didn't have any trackers. And so it was safe just to pull in with someone and create an army, like the Hokahay says. And so, I picked meatier guys than me to ride with. So when the bears came, they would be take the guys first. I kid. Sorry. Oliver and yeah, all the boys are real happy with me right now. But we get to Destruction Bay and we say, okay, we're going to finish in 12 days. We got to go all the way through tomorrow. And if we get up at 4, we can take off again. And we got 1,004 miles to go. And we think we can do it. Yeah, we were we were just joking because we figured when we got into Alaska, the roads would be fine and we'd be cruising again. But between the Alaska line and Fairbanks, they were just crap again. They were maybe even worse, and gravel roads. And fortunately, the gravel roads up there are better than the highways.
Oh,
So
Jesus.
I bet we rode 200 or 300 miles just on gravel. But yeah, it was slowed you down. Then we get into Fairbanks, and I come out of Fairbanks, and probably, I don't know, 30 miles out of Fairbanks, all of a sudden my bike decides it's going to start dying. And so it just started dying and dying and dying. And I was restarting it, kicking down and restarting and taking off again. And I did that for 300 miles from
Holy crap.
Fairbanks to Wasilla, Palmer, Alaska. And it was pouring rain and it was cold. And the thing about over there is, or up there, you're going along and you got to go like 100 miles before you see anything, before you see a gas station or a resort, because it's just resorts and gas stations. That's about all there is. Maybe a lumber yard here and there. But so I'm going along and I'm thinking to myself, if this bike breaks down out here, I'm going to be eaten by some animal or stomped by a moose or whatever. And so I'm babying this bike along, and I tell the guys, I'm like, go ahead and go. I am slowing you guys up. And they're like, nope, nope, we're not going to do it. So fortunately, they rode with me. And it's like every resort you go by is a Grizzly Resort and Big Paw Hotel and just like Mountain Lion Inn. And I'm like, oh my God, this
So
isn't
appealing.
fine.
Thanks. I want to sleep outside tonight. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to. Yeah. And but no, I was able to limp that bike, and I thought we were having to go to Anchorage to the next dealership, but there was a dealership in Palmer, Alaska, and I pulled in there, and so we were thrilled because it was the best sleeping conditions we had had the whole trip. There was a big awning and a dock bay, like where we could pull the bikes right underneath this big awning by the dock bay, and climbed up on the dock bay and slept up there. And it was like, I don't know, it's Taj Mahal a little bit that night. Didn't have to worry about it raining on you, and didn't really have to worry.
Yeah.
We probably should have worried about the animals, but that was the last thing on our minds at that point. We'd gotten in about 1 in the morning and stopped and yeah, just bedded down, and they took off the next morning. And it was a 13-hour stop for me because we had to wait, slept, and then waited for the dealership to open. And they got my bike right in. The long story, but the owner got tagged in a Facebook post I had made, and the owner sends the serviceman in with the knowledge that get that bike in as early as you can and get started on it. She's on the Hoka Hay, which was just cool as could be, because they got it
Absolutely.
fixed. And they were great there. Um, the Denali Harley-Davidson is who that was, and they were great. Got my bike fixed, and I got back on the road and finished. Was it 300 miles later, 278 miles, and got that wrapped up. And just pulling into that finish line, and I've it's really cool because the Hoka Hay, like, there's a real family that forms with the people that you've ridden with and that and the whole time you're riding, you're kind of going back and forth, switching places with people, and you get to meet them on the road. And um, so yeah, just everybody that had, well, not everybody that finished, but a lot of people that had finished were there at the finish line. And I was really excited because um, I had just found out an hour before that the gala that we had planned towards the finish line for my charity was going strong back home. And an hour before, I'd called in and did a live call in to the gala they were having for the charity. And they said it was going great. And they told me that so far I had reached $80,000. So when I got to
That
the
is
line,
awesome.
is cool. And so when I got to the line, they knew that they had made more than that, but I was able to announce that I had surpassed my goal of 75,000, and that I think I just dropped my mic. There we go. And that we had more to go because they were still raising money at the gala. So
That is an
it was
impressive
cool.
amount of money to raise fundraising. That's, a whole nother level and just awesome in its own.
Yeah. Well, I blew myself away on that deal. I'm now at $128,000 is
Holy crap.
what I've raised for kicking childhood hunger. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So just being at the finish line and knowing that I was gonna break 100,000 and that I was already at 80,000, and all the work I'd put into it, and then just you're just exhausted. You are completely exhausted. You don't know if you're gonna finish. I got really stressed out the night before, not knowing if my bike would fix, you know? And so I got freaked out about it, and your mind just goes everywhere. And so just that relief of pulling in was just amazing. Just absolutely awesome. But there were a lot of really cool moments on the trip for sure.
I bet. I mean, it just to be able to finish an event like that, it's like they say, it's a challenge. And so many people I've got to know a lot of riders that have gone through it, became friends with so many people, and they've all, very similar comment that they've all made is like they've in a way found themselves doing that ride.
Yeah.
You and which I can imagine. You got to dig deep, and it's
Mhm.
called the challenge for a reason.
Yeah, it is. And I think everybody experiences something different from it. I think every single person does. Um, for me, it was real interesting when we got to Daytona. Um, they wanted us to be there 3 days ahead to register and be accountable and inspect your bike and stuff. And so in that 3 days we're there, and you're kind of roaming around talking to different people in different groups, and some have ridden it, some have not. And honestly, there was a lot of people starting to get in my head when we were in Daytona about how scared they were, and of all sorts of fears. And I kept asking, like, what are you scared of? What are you scared of? And they couldn't really explain. But it started to get in my head, like, am I taking this too lightly? Now, I had prepared and I'd done challenge rides, and I knew the reality, and I'd talked to a lot of riders about it. So I felt ready. And the next morning I am in my hotel room. It's 4 a.m. I got up at 4. I'm on a sixth story of a hotel looking at the ocean, and there's lightning, the largest black cloud I've ever seen, and I know it's the hurricane, and it's coming at us. And, that's in my head. Am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing this? What am I thinking? And I pray a lot, so I was praying, and I tell you, Denver, as clear as bell, I heard, "Just ride the motorcycle. You know how to ride a motorcycle." And so I went at it with that.
Gave me
And when
goosebumps.
I was ever in doubt, I kept it. Whenever I was in doubt about it, I just rode the motorcycle. Because I know how
Yep.
to ride a motorcycle. So just ride the damn motorcycle.
There you
And it
go.
it helped, having that mantra.
Actually heard, who was it? Was it Jason Iceman or somebody was saying down in Florida, somebody actually hit an alligator on the highway during the hurricane.
Yes, they did. This is a true thing. And I can't remember who hit it, but yes, that happened.
I mean, you'd hate
I was
to.
the murderer. I murdered a duck. I murdered the Aflac duck in Arkansas or Mississippi, and it was really sad. I think it was Mississippi. It was sad. I cried because there was a whole bunch of people stopped to let the little duck walk across the road, and I didn't see it, and I went, "Thump, thump." I was not popular. I did not stop. I kept going, and then
It
I
was in my
I killed a rabbit and a bat.
it was my early teenage years where I grew up the highway. There was a big marsh, and I remember one morning my stepdad was going to work and going up the highway. Actually, had a duck fly across, and it got caught in his coat. It was still alive. It hit him in the
No.
chest and caught in his coat. He stopped and he's like, "Holy shit, a duck!" Let it out. But
So
I mean, you just think of stories, people, a deer, you don't want to talk about anything, but individual hit deer, Jason got Wile E. Coyote, but how many people could say they hit an alligator? I
I
just
don't
think that's
think
like,
many, but dude
no.
did hit an alligator. We had a guy hit a moose, and then another guy got literally kicked off the road by a moose. And you need to get him on because that's a hell of a story. The
You know
fact
what's
of the
crazy
bit and the
about
myth.
the one thing I found out, it was, I don't know, years ago. I can't think how many. You look at the animal like deer family. Deer, you can see their eyes, they'll reflect headlights. Elk, a moose's eyes will not reflect light.
They're just black.
Yeah, so dark and night. I mean, of course, I have the auxiliary lights, extra lights, because you start doing this. You start enjoying the endurance riding long distance. You're going to ride at night, and all the light you can have, it's going to help you. And I can only imagine, people, you're lighting up as much as you can, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden, bam, there's a moose, and they're huge.
There's a
There's not much
wall.
you can do to try to get out of the way. Maybe you can duck and go under it if you can get it between the legs, but holy crap. I could
Go
not
down.
imagine hitting a moose.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of animals. I had a huge bear go across the road in front of me one night when we were up in a mountain, and you just slow down. And then just to wonder, does he have friends? Are there friends behind
Right.
him coming across? Is he going to turn around and look at me and think I look juicy? I don't know, but I just kept riding the motorcycle. I just kept on going.
Yeah. Or is that a sow? Does she have cubs that are going to come out too? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because and it was, of course, pops out of the weeds and then goes across and back down in the weeds that are. Then the weeds are taller than I am, and yeah, I didn't know, but saw some elk on top of the mountain, and that it's just there's a lot of chances and a lot of risk you have to take if you're going to ride
Yeah.
okay. Um, and some, I don't know if we used our best judgment. Some of us made it through not using our best judgment, but I did make a couple rules for myself. Mainly, I just didn't want to fall asleep on the road. That was the big thing
Yeah.
for me. And so I took naps and slept a little
Well,
bit more, slowed my pace down, but I didn't fall asleep
I
on
think
the road.
it's, Go Home Ken, when I had him on a couple years ago, and one of his big things was knowing the difference between being sleepy and being tired.
Yes.
Knowing yourself to know the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. My rule that I made for myself after I kind of shook my head off on a yellow line one day in New Mexico, I thought, no, that's not happening again. So if I started yawning or nodding or my eyes started watering, I immediately just pulled over, set my timer on 10 minutes, went to sleep, got up in 10 minutes, and it was like I could ride another 12 hours. It was amazing what 10 minutes did for me, and eat something and drink something and ready to go again. So,
I've had one of those nights where, we're doing a run, me and a bunch of friends. Well, it was the first time we did, when I started Monsters Over Mountains. We slept for like
yeah.
2.5 hours the first night. When I woke up from that, I felt like I slept 10 hours, and it was like 2.5 hours down in Arlington, Oregon in the city park. And
Yes.
it's crazy sometimes where it's not that long, it's a short amount, but it's like you just feel completely rejuvenated. It's like, I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah. We did that, dollar stores and middle of nowheres and alongside rest stops. You just pull over and go to bed and wake up and feels like you slept forever until you get to the finish line and you go to your hotel, and then you do sleep forever.
I could
Or
imagine
and of
how
course,
comfy an actual bed would feel after that.
yeah, Clutch can verify for you. Clutch said, "Hey, Dell's coming in a couple hours," right after I'd got in. I said, "Well, I gotta eat and get a shower." And so I ate, got a shower, and put my clothes on so I could go see Dell. Well, Clutch and his wife had a car, and they said, "Well, we'll come knock on your door and take you down there." And yeah, see, he he couldn't wake me up. He's pounding on the door. Apparently, he says he was pounding on the door. They called me. I didn't. I was setting up with my clothes on in my bed with my phone on my lap. when I woke up at 3 a.m., and this was like probably 10:30, I went to sleep. I don't even know that I didn't even know I went to sleep. And so I just went back to sleep. I slept till like noon the next day.
Well, that's when your body says it's time to rejuvenate.
Yep. Yep. My body was done. And I didn't really even recognize that because you're so wound up and your adrenaline's flowing, and you have a mission to make. You have a place you need to be, and you just ride the motorcycle.
Just ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is cool. I remember we were talking earlier though, when you were in Daytona, you got to meet Loco and did, a little ride with Loco on his 366 challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, I love getting to meet Loco because it's always fun when you get to meet people that you follow, like you were saying, that you follow on internet and stuff. And,
Hmm.
um, I love the 365 ride they did last year. And then here's Loco doing his 366 this year. And um, it was cool because I was down there in Daytona minding my own business. And he asked me one day if I wanted to go ride his 366 with him. I'm like, "Oh, what? Oh, yeah, yeah." It's like I couldn't even realize what he was asking me. And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll go ride." And so we went and rode and did like maybe a 30-mile jaunt around, and there was quite a few people with us. And I'm riding along there, and I saw an alligator in this creek or river or whatever beside the road, and there was this alligator kinda just had his head up on propped up on a log, and we got back, and I was like, "Did anybody see the alligator?" And nobody had seen it, and Denver goes, "Man, I'm so" or Denver, sorry, Loco said, "Man, I'm so sad I didn't get to see it." And I was like, "Well, I could tell you where it's at." But, yeah, it was cool. It's always cool to get to be around the monsters, and I've become good friends with a lot of them. So I enjoy that. I enjoy supporting that group too.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I remember when I first got to meet Loco, is me and Frank Orlando and Bradley Thomas went down for the Goats uh, movie down in New Braunfels. And
Yeah.
we got down there like 2:30 in the morning. I think it was a Friday night. Yeah. And I remember waking up Saturday morning and wake up early, go meet everybody for breakfast in the hotel, and there's Loco sleeping on the floor next to the dresser at the foot of my bed. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Your hotel room. Yeah, that kinda
Yeah.
happens, doesn't it?
Because he messaged Frank,
Yeah.
hey, can I crash? And I remember Frank saying something about him. Like, yeah, sure, I'll try to stay awake. He can crash the couch or something. And then, we drove 34 hours straight through down to Texas. And, I hit the pillow. I was out and then wake up and, there's Loco crash on the floor using his tank bag as a pillow. I'm like, dude, there's plenty of extra blankets and pillow. You could have grabbed something.
No, it's self-preservation. I mean, it's like when you're long distance rider, you just have all your stuff and you're more comfortable just using your stuff and just just go with it because it's like home away from home no matter where you're at. You just have your sleeping bag and your tank. Yeah, your tank bag as a pillow works pretty well. Mine's kind of thin and I kind of like it. I think I used it a couple nights actually on Hokahay, and one night I used my boot. I was too tired to get my little pillow I'd taken. Just took my
I mean,
shoes
I
off
I
and used
have a
the boot.
small little blow up pillow that I take, but Frank Orlando says you roll a wild ass up, fold it over once, goes, it's a great pillow. I'm like, yeah, okay, that could work.
Eh, then you gotta take it off your bike, but yeah, I need to
See,
get
that's why
get
I
it
just
off
use
mine.
one strap on mine. Also for like when it
Oh,
rains,
so you just slide it out.
you park somewhere. No, I just flip it upside down. So the flat side is up, so all the rain runs off it. You get ready to go somewhere, you flip it over, and your cushion part is all dry.
There you go. Look at you giving tips. See? It's the Vtwin Life tips.
Well, hey, but I got one from you when you're talking about what you do with your kickstand puck. Now that's smart.
No, I was surprised you didn't know that one, but I
No, I
went
didn't.
half my life, well, most of my life, I think I've been without doing that trick. But what I was telling him was I just put a string on my kick plate and or my kickstand plate, and I keep it in my little bag up on my windshield. And so anytime I need it, I just pull it out and drop it down on the ground. And then you can, when you're short legged like me, you can't really move it around with your legs. So you drop it down, you pull it over where you need it under the kickstand with your string and put your kickstand on it and then wrap that string around your handlebar. And It'll be there when you leave, so you don't forget it, and you also don't have to do that thing when you need to pick it up of bending at the waist and your head is level with your tranny, and sometimes that ends up on the ground. And so I have that string and I don't have to worry about falling off my bike and my bike falling on top of me. So, yeah. And then just pick it up, put it away, and off you go.
which is very smart because I could see myself even trying to pick it up off the ground and end up dropping the bike over on the crash bar, and it's like, oh, cool. Now we got a whole new adventure to try, and
Wrestling out,
people are laughing at you, and it's whatever.
wrestling a bike. It's not cool. I don't like wrestling bikes. I look
No.
ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's part of it. Going around some of these places, or you go to these different bike events. Whether it's rallies or like the Hoka Motorcycle Challenge, and you see people setups and stuff they're doing. It's like, holy cow, that's freaking
Oh, it's
amazing idea! And getting to see setups that other people have, and getting little ideas, and them sharing tips and tricks, and it's really
yeah.
cool to see what some people do to help with their comfort of enjoying what they're doing, which is just get on the bike and ride.
Yeah, and just keeping it, simple and like my one of my things I wanted to make sure of when I was on the Hoka Hay was that I had a low center of gravity because I'm no weightlifter and bikes are heavy, and the more top heavy they are, the more likely you are to drop it when you're tired, and then you gotta pick it up, make yourself more tired, and, I pulled the tour pack off, and my fella built me he's a machinist, so I had that advantage, but he built this really nice aluminum rack on the back of my bike, and it has my backrest on it, and it has latches, and so I just have S-clips on a cooler and it S-clips to that in 2 places, and then I have a dry bag that goes on the rack, and it S-clips in, and then he built this awesome little tray underneath it that drops down, and I have my pad and I have a tent. I have, the reactor pop-up tent, and my tent is on that tray, and then I just have 2 little bungee bands that go up to the tray or to the rack and holds the tray up and holds all my stuff in there. I mean, it was so simple for the ride, and none of my pack behind me is higher than half of my back high. So it's fantastic. I loved it. Knock on
Yeah,
wood.
Frank Lamb had just
Not
commented about your tent setup and where it was packed away at.
yeah, yeah. It's hey Frankie. Yeah, she came and checked it out. I think she may be doing a building one or trying to get one built because it is just phenomenally handy. And I swear to you that I did not drop my bike one time on the Hoka, which was stunning and amazing to me. I cannot believe I didn't drop it the whole time. Now I had some hard throw the leg out and go, oh shit moments, but I didn't drop it. And I swear it's because I didn't have that top heavy stuff behind me. I think it
Yeah, when
made
you
a huge difference.
keep being able to keep your center of gravity lower, definitely can help and benefit.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
and I had
handling
plenty of
also.
room. Yeah, I had plenty of room. I had plenty of s I took too much, actually, so I'll be pulling that weight down next time.
Well, yeah, and then, live and learn. You figure out things. Well, I guess I didn't need this, this, and this, and you figure out a setup that works for you.
Yeah, yeah, you have to, and everybody's setup's different.
That is 100% true.
Yeah, whole lot of difference in them, but yeah, it was a blast. I had a good time.
That's awesome. It's on my list of things I would like to attempt to see if I have what it takes to finish. It would be fun, and unfortunately, it's like since we've been following it, with Mile Moss, you get to know everybody and all this stuff, and my wife following it, she's like, "There's no way I want you to do it." I'm like, you look at the a fair amount of accidents that happen and everything, but I don't know. I still want to attempt to try it.
Yeah. Well, and I felt very fortunate, I had brakes go out in Arkansas, and they didn't have the rear brakes to replace, and they had to clean them out. And so then I got rear brakes replaced in Wyoming, but my front rotors were warped for most of the trip. They were warped clear back in Arkansas. I honestly think they got warped in the hurricane or the tropical storm because that was horrible. And, um, but yeah, I rode with warped rotors. So then my front brakes were out by the time I got to um, the Denali Harley. They didn't want to let me go after they had cleaned my air filter out and my injectors because my front brakes were so bad and my warped rotors. And I said, I can't be here anymore. I got to finish. I got to go. I got to go right now. I'm good. I have rear brakes. My rear brakes are fine. I'm good. Let me go. So, and I
Yeah.
had some front brake, but it just, what those warped rotors do, it just shakes like a maniac.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I got fortunate that I was able to get the repairs I needed done along the way, and I was very fortunate that the animals I did hit and murder were little. They weren't big ones. There's so many things that can go wrong, but the thing that you got to remember is if you're thinking about riding the hook of hay, there is a whole lot that can go wrong, but there was a whole lot that went right with all the riders. And you got 10,000 miles. That is a lot of miles. Sometimes you worry about
True.
crossing town, because something could happen. I think one good thing about it is that we aren't in a lot of metropolis. We're not in a lot of big towns. They try to avoid the big towns. This route did anyway. So you don't have that kind of traffic to deal with, but you do have the little two-lane road traffic and the animals. That's probably the worst part is the animals. But yeah, you just got to remember there's a whole lot that goes on that's good. And sleeping outdoors can be a challenge, especially when there's animals around that could eat you. I think that was maybe more frightening for me than anything. But again, I did find that at night because I rode a lot of this ride. I rode like 8 days. I'm working on a presentation of this ride, and I figured out that I'd ridden like 8 days by myself completely. The first couple of days I rode with Shell Fedderson, and then the
I love
last
Shell.
3 days. I love Shell to death, the writer of Dick. Everybody loved that I was riding along with her the first 2 days. They're like, "Who are you riding with?" You wouldn't get it. Never mind, people. But,
Yeah. You got to
so
know Shell to understand that.
you just gotta know Shell. She's fun. She's all fun. And so, anyway, I rode with her a couple days, and man, do I ever thank her for her help because she helped me learn the mapping, and that mapping's a struggle. It's hard,
I
especially
could imagine that would be very tough.
we had 7 pages of instructions from Daytona to Rogers, Arkansas, and it was a struggle
Jeez.
some days. I mean, that 3rd day when I wasn't with her anymore and I didn't have somebody to go, "Is this right?" It was a lot, but, you finally figure it out, and you figure out their code for non-code that they put in it, so but yeah, there's just so much that can go right in it, and you get to see so many beautiful places, like and you don't know where you're going because they don't put cities on the directions. You don't have towns, you don't have states. The only reason you know you're gonna be in a certain state is the roads are like AL, so I'm gonna be in Alabama, so it was it was it was cool. I was riding along one day thinking, "Man, that's quite an area that I'm in," and, it was getting busy, there's traffic, and all of a sudden, I'm sitting at a s intersection, and I'm, like, looking at airplanes across the road, and I'm thinking, "I've been here," and I was like, "Oh, I'm at Graceland." I had no idea. Graceland. Another day, I was riding through the desert in Arizona, and I see a state park sign, I'm like, "Get to go see the Grand Canyon, kids." So it's just neat because it's all unplanned in your book. It's planned by them, but It's unplanned by you, and
Right.
so, when it is a struggle for your family. I think my friends and family and like I said, my fella, I think it was hard for them. There was parts of it that was really difficult because I've followed um, Squirrel, and Henrietta the last few years. I've been following them on the ride, and it scares you when they stop and you don't know why they're stopped for so long in a random place. And it seems really random on that little tracker. But meanwhile, I'm somewhere where there's, stores and places around and I feel safe, or there's other people with me and, I'm feeling safe. But they don't know, they don't know if you're doing good. They don't know if you're sleepy, if you're making the right decisions. And so it's a worry for them. I know that.
Yeah, and I know like well Loco and Wrong Way and Shell, we talked a whole bunch about the mapping after when they were all down at my place after the Hokey the following weekend. And they're talking about, mapping and trying to make sense of, some of the directions were kind of, oh, the right way to put it, questionable. It's like because you're questioning yourself. It says turn here, but the way they're excuse me, explaining things, it was, there was definitely some questionable ones where you really question yourself. Hey, am I making the right turn? Because this doesn't make sense. And I know they talked about it. It must have been for a couple hours, and just being able to be part of the conversation, listening to it, and getting understanding and being able to kind of experience it through them was really neat.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you're out there, there's a lot of times, there were times I was getting out of sorts and because you feel so alone sometimes when you're out there by yourself, when you're riding all by yourself and you don't have people with you, especially, you get real like, am I completely lost? Am I completely off track? And when you pull a paper map out, you literally, I thought I would use my paper maps more often. Like I kind of thought I would follow them and follow the line by line directions, but really the line by lines are pretty dependable. And, so you get to follow in the line by line, well, you totally lose track of where you are on this big paper map, And, so, there was times though where you'd stop and it gives you like some fear because if you don't notice, like it, it can be 50, 100 miles before a state puts a state highway sign up. So you have no idea which road you're on. Like it's just hard. And hopefully somebody will be parked in the parking lot you're in that'll you can go, "This sounds like a stupid question, but what road is that?"
Well,
Just so
and
you
then
feel like you're
throw in the
crazy, like,
sleep
"Don't you use
deprivation.
GPS?" Yeah, like, "Why don't you use
Yeah,
your GPS? I see you have a phone right there on your handlebar. What's the matter with you?"
yeah,
I can't use it." So, then that spurs a whole 'nother conversation. You're just like, "I gotta go. Thanks for the
yeah.
info."
There's wrong way to put it. ATL, ask the locals.
Yes, I asked a lot of locals, but I also found out there's a lot of locals, I have no idea where they're at. Yeah, Clutch, he says, "Go 550 miles and hope I'm on the right road." Yeah,
Yeah.
and we had one stretch and it said, "Go less than 600 miles" when we got in Canada.
Oh, Jesus. That's a long way.
Long ways to wonder if you're on the right road. Yeah.
No kidding.
I was headed out, we were in Utah, I believe, and, I was going along one night and there was a turn and I thought, I think I need to turn there. And so I pulled over the side of the road and I'm looking at the map and I'm reading the directions and I'm looking at my mileage because you've got to set your odometer. And I'm looking at my mileage and looking at my line by line. And I'm like, now I'm pretty sure I need to turn there. So you kind of look backwards down the road to look at the sign back that way as to where you came from, and then you try to look up the road where the turn was and see if there's a sign up there that says, and you look ahead of you on the road to see what that sign says. So you're looking at all these signs, and sometimes you're driving in circles. But so I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I should have turned. And then here comes Bear Burrito. He goes, "Oh, by me." I thought, okay, well, maybe I'm not on the wrong road. So I go pulling up And I'm driving along there and I'm thinking, no, my odometer, we should have turned 10 miles ago. And so I pull up next to him and I'm like, pull over. And I don't know him. Like, we haven't even met yet. I just knew there was this dude. He was going the same way I was, and I wasn't feeling like it was the right way. So I asked him, I was like, do you think this is the right way? And we had a little discussion. And he goes, no, we're going the wrong way. You just saved my ass. I would have been 120 miles down the road. It's like, yeah, I don't think we're going the right way. So we made fast friends.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's all right.
All fun
It's
and part of
good.
the adventure.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so we made it out of that one. Thank goodness. But I was about to run out of gas, and that's a whole other story. I drove way too far to try to find gas after that and turned around. He waited on me. He was so nice. He waited on me. And so then I took off again. We take off again, and there's gas like the other way, 15 miles. I'm like, oh geez. I could have just went back the other way, but who knew?
I don't know, Dylan. They call them wrong way for a reason.
Yeah, I don't know, Dylan. I don't know.
Oh,
I'll ask anybody for directions when I'm out there, though. I don't care. I have no
yeah.
problem asking people for directions because yeah, going too many miles in the wrong direction just eats up your time so quick. And I would pass people. I ride fast, so I'm riding past people, and then I would take a wrong turn, and then they would get past me because I'd be like, "Oh crap, I got to turn around," and I turn around and go back the right way, and of course you're losing time. You can't get back time. There's just no way. You can make up the miles, you just can't get back the time. So
Right. But you
made it.
made it. You finished,
I
and
made it.
you accomplished a challenge that not a lot of people have.
Yeah. Yeah, and accomplishing that is just a really cool thing. It's something that
Oh, for sure.
I just thought was awesome that I was able to, and then to be able to raise the money that I raised, for my kids, for the weekend food sacks in my area here in Oklahoma. Um, that was just that's just such a highlight. That means everything to me. Riding a motorcycle is fun and cool, but to be able to help other people is is where it's at. So it gives you heart.
And and what you're saying, the goal, you had and the amount of money you raised is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. My community got behind me. My Facebook followers got behind me. Everybody in town, they started my beautician right away in the beginning. I was talking to her about what I was going to do, and she goes, here, let me start your first donation. She whips out $100 bill and gives it to me. And I took a picture and put it on Facebook. And from that point forward until the day, well, actually, I was on the ride and had friends that handed me $100 bill here and there while I was on the ride. And because they would see me and they would catch up to me, and the next gas stop, they're there and they hand me $100 bill, and it's like, people were just coming at me with these $100 bills. So I don't know, I was trying to figure it out, and I bet I probably took in about $12,000 in just people walking up and handing me $100 bills. It was cool.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it was very cool. And then I had some matching funds, and um, from both the bank I work at and a local milling company. And so I had $10,000 to match one day. And I took that $10,000 and made it into $30,000 in one day by riding to different businesses in my town, picking up donations
Wow.
for my charity. Yeah.
So how long did you fundraise altogether for this?
Well, we have the calendar year to fundraise.
Okay.
And so, I started as soon as I could, as soon as I got accepted. I was telling everybody what we're going to do. And I really started selling t-shirts and challenge coins, and I got sponsors to buy like my t-shirts and my challenge coins. And so then every single penny that I took in went to the kids, to the weekend food sacks. And so, um, And we have until November 30th. So I'm not done. If you didn't get to make a donation, make a donation. You can go to my Where We Write in Tea and you can make a donation there, or see me on the street and give me $100 and I'll put it to the kids. So, but
So Dylan was
yeah,
asking, what's your total at right now?
right now I'm at 128,150, right in that area, like 150 or 200. I can't remember, but anyway, I'm over $128,000. So I would love to double my goal because that's like $22,000 away, and I have another month and a half, and I do have a couple of things planned that I'm going to raise some more money. Um, so who knows? Don't know. And I'll accept big donations.
Well, even, you set a goal of $75,000. I mean, that alone is a challenge and, a hefty goal. And to surpass your goal and keep going, that is freaking amazing. And, you're putting in the time and the effort. You're out there, you're promoting, you're showing what you're doing and all this stuff. And to see what you've accomplished is so freaking awesome. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I also, it's, I don't know. I live in a town that's a very caring town, Stillwater, Oklahoma. And I know everybody in town. I literally know a lot of people. And I do a lot of charity things for town. And I'm on the board of the Chamber of Commerce and, of course, the board for Kicking Childhood Hunger, our charity of choice. And um, so our board was real helpful. Like they were so funny because I told them what I was going to do, ride the hoka hay. And this board was actually formed 10 years ago at at our local Harley-Davidson dealership with the owner and the general manager. And then Kicker Audio is uh, in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and myself. And the four of us came together and put this foundation together. And then we, formed the board. And so we've been raising money for 10 years. And over the past 10 years, we've raised over $800,000. And each food sack is about $7.50 right now. It keeps going up. But I told my board I'm going to raise $10,000 for the charity because I'm riding 10,000 miles. So that's $1 a mile. I thought that might be a good amount. And I'm sitting at the board meeting, and the owner of the Harley dealership, he has passed since, but he was sitting there and he leaned over and whispered something to his general manager. And she kind of shook her head and she goes, "Well, why don't you raise more?" And I go, 10,000's a lot. And she goes, "Well, the board's going to help you promote your fundraisers and we're going to help you. We'll volunteer, we'll do what we can." And I'm like, "Sure. What are you thinking?" And she goes, "Well, Tommy and I think you could do 75,000 because, that would be 10,000 food sacks." I just laugh and I go, "Okay, sure.
Food
All
sack for
right."
every mile.
So, don't limit yourself because you don't know what you might be able to do. Like you literally just don't know what you could do. So, oh, there's one of the meteor riders. Hey, Andy. Yeah, he's one of the three. Greg Oliver and Smitty and Andy Waller. They were one of the three meteor riders that I was riding with in Canada.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, it started because there was a group that called me the last night when we were in Destruction Bay, and I was laying in my tent, and it was Shell, and I don't know, I think they'd all had drinks, and so they were calling me, and, I had the phone on speakerphone, and I was in my tent, and the guys were outside, and and they were all bedded down, and of course, they could hear me, and Shell goes, "You shouldn't have stayed there. There's bears up there," and all the guys behind her are jazzing me about, "They put people in cages up there to sleep overnight because it's so dangerous. You're gonna get eaten by grizzlies." And then they all start dying laughing, and I go, "No, no, it's okay. All the people with me are meatier than me, and I'm just kinda skin and bones, so they're gonna skip over me. I'm gonna be able to get on my bike and leave before."
That's funny.
Oh, yeah. I had your back, Andy.
Yeah, and she takes off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's okay friendship right there. That's what we do.
A lifetime friendship.
Yeah, it is. It is true. We'll all be I just can't imagine not being friends with the people I've become friends with forever.
Understandable.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks for, hanging out on a Sunday and coming to share some adventures. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, good. I had a good time. Thank you so much, and thank you for all the
Yeah.
listeners, and I'm telling you guys, say lots and lots of prayers for our friends down southeast part of the US because it's not over yet. And we just
No.
saw a cat one. We just saw a cat one hurricane, and that was scary enough. Um, and now they had a cat four, and they're looking at another cat three, and it's dangerous down there. So everybody
Yeah.
keep your head on a swivel.
Very true. So, well, thank you. This has been a lot of fun, Terry, and I appreciate the stories. I really enjoyed it. I was looking forward to this, and all the comments people have been making on social media about this one, which was really cool, and the shares. And no, I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun hearing stories and the adventures. It's why I do this. I really enjoy this.
Yeah, yeah, I do too. I had a great time, and shoot, maybe now that I'm not going on a Hoka this year, we don't have one in 25. I might have to come up and join you on Monsters Over Mountains. It looks like a really cool ride, and it
It's
rains
going to be a fun
here, so
one,
it won't rain next year. It won't freeze us out next year, right?
right? No, it'll be all good. We're going to go a little earlier. We'll go
Oh,
in July.
good.
It'll be a
That
little
might
warmer.
help. Might
Yeah.
help. Might encourage
So
more ride.
there you go. But you're always welcome. It'd be fun.
Yeah, sounds fun.
So, all right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to Milepost 138. Seems crazy. It's been a lot of fun, and we just keep going, knocking down the milepost. So, everybody, you guys ride safe, have fun. Thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the open road. And we'll